Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Katie, I'm a crime and thriller girlie, and today we're going to talk about my favourite books of each month from the year of 2025. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about every book, not every book, how do I explain this? I'm going to talk about the books I read in 2025, but my favourites from each month. We're going to talk about what they're about, if I can remember what I rated them, but more importantly, why I wanted them in the top, not 12 of the year. But let's talk about it. So I'm going to be transparent and say I've recorded this once already, but I was an idiot who forgot how to use a camera and I turned the mic off somehow in the settings, so we're going to record this again. But anyway, let's get the boring part out of the way. I am on a mission to get to 1K, and I would love to be able to find more people on BookTube who love books like I do. I'm a crime and thriller girl, as I've already said, so if you could hit that subscribe button, it would mean the world. I'm on a mission to get to 1K by the end of 2026. A little adventurous, probably, but you don't know if you don't try. And I will also say that this is sort of meant to be a book from every month. Some have two, one has none at all because I didn't read, but I will discuss that more when I get to that month. But let's get into it. So, starting strong in January, my actual favourite book of the month was not a thriller, and it was Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. Now, I picked this up in audio, and this was actually one of the first books I read in 2025. I think it was alongside a physical, so this was my first audio of the year. And this, I think, is like a lost romance, kind of like refound love kind of thing, if I remember rightly. I'm not very good at recalling books, but I'm going to try. So it follows basically a woman fell in love when she was like 15 years old. They went through till they were 18, and then they went their separate ways. Several years later, she sees him in a coffee shop. However, she's about to marry a guy who's safe, who's, just giving her the life she wants. But obviously, she fell in love with this other guy, and it's about like that refound love. And I absolutely loved it. I thought it was absolutely beautiful. I thought it was so enjoyable, but so emotional at the same time. And I did not expect to like this as much as I did. So yeah, it was an unexpected love. It's made me want to look more into Christina Lauren. However, I have fallen out of the romance era, like I said. There's a bit of a theme for the first half of the year. You can definitely tell I've refound my thriller era, but yeah, it was a lovely start to 2025. I didn't expect the first book I read to be one of the favourites of the year. On to February now, and my favourite book was actually Saving Six by Chloe Walsh. Now, I think I rated this somewhere in the 4-star region, 4.25. This is chunky. This is book 3 in the series, but this is the start of Joey and Aoife's story. Now, I read Keeping and Buy Me 13 in 2024, and I did fully get the hype. I could fully understand why people love these books so much. But I found that this was quite repetitive to the first one. However, because this is obviously one of the favourites of the month, I'm going to talk about the good points. It was heart-wrenching, if you can call that a good point. But I absolutely adored this. I was just inhaled in the story. Yes, parts of it were repetitive, which is what knocked the fire off it. But like genuinely, this has had me in a chokehold. I only have one book left in the series to read, and yeah, you just get immersed in Joey and Aoife's story, and it is utterly heartbreaking. It comes with so many trigger warnings, and I'm glad I looked at them before I went in. But wow, this I can't explain this series without kind of obviously ruining the first two. But yeah, it was heart wrenching and probably not the best book to read, but still absolutely loved it. On to March now, and my favourite read was Redeeming Six. There's a theme. So I actually did rate this one 5 stars. This is actually my first 5-star of the year. And this is part 2 to Joey and Aoife's story. This was gut wrenching. This was also my longest book of the year, so this was 976 pages, guys, just for your information. I promise I'm a crime and thriller girlie. I promise there are crime books coming. I've just realised I'm looking at the stack and I'm like, oh gosh. So this, like I said, is part 2, and this follows basically the second part of their story, and it gets even more gut wrenching. Basically, it gets even more emotional. I cannot begin to explain it. I can't say it's enjoyable because it's not. It's an emotional read, but I think it really hits home how hard this is. And Chloe Walsh's writing is definitely unique. I don't know how she finds 900 pages to write about half a book's character. Like, you're talking these stories being 1,500 pages per character, and that baffles my mind a little bit. But then when you read it, you don't feel like you're reading 700 to 900 pages. So yeah, it was a well-deserved winner for the month. On to April now, and I actually have two. So the first book I want to talk about is Happily Ever After by Lynn Painter, and these were both 5 stars. So what I'll say to you guys is I didn't have many 5 stars this year. And in April, Happily Ever After was one of them. I actually did a readathon over the Easter period with Amelia, and I absolutely sort of loved this. It was a really short read, quick and easy. Also, I read it in a sitting. I was on like a 9-hour readathon, and this basically follows a woman who's about to get married. She discovers her boyfriend, well, fiance, is cheating, and she finds this service where this guy who she has no idea who he is, he has no connection to anyone at the wedding, comes in and calls the guy out. I absolutely love the concept of this. She wants in, and they go upon ruining wedding after wedding because the bride or groom doesn't want to stay in said thing, but doesn't want to look like the bad guy ending the relationship. I thought this was hilarious. I laughed, I smiled, I just enjoyed this so much. It had such an amazing vibe to it that I couldn't not. And you guys know I love Lynn Painter, but yeah, this is definitely one of my favourites. Not quite as good as Better Than the Movies. That was more a 6-star read for me, but yeah, this was hilarious. And actually, I believe Lynn Painter's first adult fiction. It's still very light though. I think I like Lynn Painter for the lesser spice. So yeah. The other book for April is Scythe. And this again was a 5-star rating, which is why I couldn't choose it. This is dystopian fiction, so again, we're still waiting on the thriller, guys. I promise it's coming. So this is, like I said, dystopian fiction, and Scythes are basically people who go around killing, I think it's just civilians, and basically they don't have to give a rhyme or reason, they just rock up and people know it's their time. The Scythes do this in different ways. Some are kinder with the death, some are just love going around killing people. And it follows 2 junior Scythes who are trying to become the Scythe, but only one of them can do it. I inhaled this pretty quickly. I think I read 300-400 pages of this in one sitting, and I absolutely loved it. I did not want to put it down. It was very fast-paced. I did not expect to like this. This was a book club picked back at the the beginning of 2025 maybe, or the back end of 2024, and I could not read it. I didn't think it was a book that would hook me. In fact, it was September 24. Because I always slump in September, and it's just purely because work. I'm back at work after 6 weeks off. I'm exhausted. I don't want to read. So yeah, when this sort of came through the letterbox from Books to Door, I was like, I'm gonna have to try it. They sent it me, and yeah, it ended up being one of my favourite series of the year. And wow, is all I'm gonna say. On to May now, and we have In the Blink of an Eye by Jo Callahan. Now, I have my first thriller, guys. I love this. This was actually an audiobook pick for me. And this was on a recommendation of Michaela, who I don't imagine will be watching this, but if she is, oh my gosh, hi. But she recommended this. This follows a human detective and an AI detective as they work together to solve crime. This is part of a 4-book series, and I know Michaela raves about this to the point that I'm thinking about picking up the rest of the series this year. In audio, though, I do love that concept. Obviously, the human detective is going off instinct and gut, whereas the AI is purely fact-driven, which I do really enjoy. I thought this was a really good concept, really easy to read or listen to, and I really, really enjoyed the premise of it. I was a bit unsure at first. I think I picked this up on a whim in the works or something, and I wasn't really sure what it was about. I just really liked the cover. Now, I believe the cover looks a bit different depending where you are. But yeah, I would strongly recommend this, guys. It was such a good start to the series, and I am going to pick up the other 3. I do believe that the 4th one hasn't released yet, but yeah, what an absolutely fantastic book, and I'm really glad I picked it up, and definitely glad I followed the recommendation from Kayla. Now, that leads us to June, but obviously, I said I missed a month, and June was the month. I was very, very unwell towards the end of May, and I struggled to get back into working and managing reading. I was so tired when I got home from work that I would sleep, and yeah, I didn't really read. That being said, I think I started the odd book but finished them in July, so they went in my July reading wrap up. So that takes me straight into July. Now, I don't think I've had a video where I don't mention Steve Kavanagh, and my favourite book of July was, of course, Two Kinds of Stranger by Steve Kavanagh. This is book 9 in the Eddie Flynn series, and it follows Ellie, who basically is like a blogger, and she blogs her like kind act of the day. So she does her good deed of the day every day. She does a good deed for a stranger who then subsequently dies, and she's framed for his murder, I think it is. So it's up to Eddie Flynn to help her. I really loved the concept of this, and it was really, really dark. It didn't quite hit 5 stars, but I enjoy anything by Steve Kavanagh. It's quick and easy, but it's a light thriller. So like I've got very much into my dark era at the moment, but I find Steve Kavanagh's a really good thriller palette cleanser. This, like I said, is book 9. I would recommend you read them in order. However, you don't have to. He has said that you can read them as standalones, but I personally love the character development. There was a major one in this one. There was a major one in Witness 8, which really upset me. And you did notice that in Two Kinds of a Stranger. But yeah, Eddie Flinton is incoming, and I cannot wait. On to August now, and my reading was back in full swing, but my favourite book of the month was Thunderhead by Neil Shusterman, and this is book 2 in the Ark of Osiris series. This again was a 5-star read. So this actually became a buddy read over on TikTok, and I didn't actually expect that to happen, but we were all talking about how we needed to read it. I'd obviously not picked up this book until months after Scythe. So this is book 2, and like I said, it follows the same 2 characters, but I'm not going to say how because that will spoil the outcome of the first book. But we still see both characters as their relationship is quite important, which you'll see if you've read the first book. But this focuses more on Thunderhead, so this is like something that controls, I believe, the weather, and it's like the other side, so they kind of are not with the sides, but they're not against them. But it's like a different viewpoint from what we've read in book 1, and I inhaled this. I think this is like 600 pages, and I still inhaled this. I actually tabbed it. I was that into the book, and yeah, I cannot recommend the series enough, guys. I will say, I have read The Toll. I've got the Gleaning 3, but that's not part of the series. It's like short stories. But The Toll didn't quite hit the point for this blog. It was just not quite, it was too long, and there was too many new characters in the final book. I still love the premise. It was still a 4.25, but it wasn't one of my favourites. But I would fully recommend this whole trilogy, guys. It's quick and easy, and I'm not really a dystopian fiction kind of girl, and I would strongly recommend it. Honestly, I cannot rave about the series enough. On to September now, and my favourite book was One by One by Chris Carter. Now, I actually only started my journey with Chris Carter in 2025, and they were so close to making the cut with some of my favourite books. So this one basically follows Robert Hunter. It's book 5, I think, in the series, or 6, and it basically follows Robert Hunter gets a phone call saying, follow this IP address. He loads it up. There is somebody trapped in like a container. He has to choose how they die. And he has so many seconds. This then progresses. Obviously, it is a serial killer. This is what Chris Carter does best, and it is dark. The ways that some of these like murders happen is gruesome. I don't think I could watch this. Reading it made me cringe. He then takes it live to the internet, and people vote. It shocked me with this book. Not quite 5 stars, but oh my goodness! What I love about Chris Carter is that his chapters are short, they're easy to read, and they've got me out of slumps so many times in the past few months. And yeah, if you're really struggling with books, pick one of these up. I believe Crucifix Killer is actually it is the first book in the series, but it's actually on KU. That may or may not be true, but it was last time I looked. Yeah, if you haven't read Chris Carter and you love a good thriller and don't mind a little bit of gore, then I would absolutely recommend you pick up the series. On to October now, and I have 2 books to talk to you about. So the first book I'm going to talk to you about is The Chase by Ava Goss. Now, I wasn't going to include this one, but then I thought no, because I realised that all the books I've read have been very much well-known books, and I'd love to bring you guys recommendations of books that aren't as well-known. The Chase was actually a book I found in the library. This follows a woman who is given a mission to get a guy into protection before he is chased by, I think it is the Russian mafia. This is not what I expected from the book at all, and I was hooked. I read this, it was quick, easy, chapters were short, and yeah, I was hooked from the very beginning. And I didn't expect that. It's not my usual kind of thriller, but I did enjoy the premise. She was left around with no resources, and I thought this could get a bit boring because it is literally just a chase till the end, but it wasn't. I was hooked. It was a hidden gem. I have got a video coming, so I will be including that in another video where I talk about the books you don't hear about, as I am kind of trying to find different hidden gems. So that is that one. The other book I wanted to talk to you about is, of course, another Chris Carter, and that is An Evil Mind. So this is the book straight after One by One. Robert Hunter is meant to be taking a break after that book. He's meant to be going to Hawaii for 2 weeks, but he gets a phone call saying there is a friend in need and he needs to go and help him. So he goes. This is basically trying to help him get out of a bit of a sticky situation. This was twisted. This is very different to the others in the series. So the other ones talk about a lot of serial killer vibes and a lot of murder. This one doesn't actually have any murder in it. There are dead bodies. It is a thriller, but it's very different to the first books, and I really enjoyed that about it. I didn't quite rate it 5 stars, but it was very, very close. It was a 4.5, and I was absolutely hooked. I cannot explain this to you any more than that. It was a wild ride, guys, to say the least. So yeah, I'll leave that one there, but If you haven't picked up Chris Carter, this is definitely a sign. I know I've already said that, but I've said it twice now, which means it's definitely your sign. On to November now, and I actually found a 5-star thriller, guys. This is the only. Oh, actually, no, it's not. It's a lie. But this was the first 5-star thriller of the year in November, and that was I Am Death by Chris Carter. This follows straight on For an Evil Mind, and this follows basically Robert Hunter comes across a series of unalivings. That's the theme of most of the Robert Hunter series, because he does work for like the homicide unit. And this basically, the note is left that says I am death at the end of every killing. And I'm not going to say more than that. This was fast paced, short chapters yet again, and I could not put this down. This is why I had to rate it 5 stars. I was still thinking about this a couple of days later. It's dark, it's twisted, it's gory, like every other Chris Carter book, but I just can't explain it. It was wild. And I couldn't not rate it 5 stars. In fact, I was still thinking about it. So yeah, that's all I'm going to say. And for the third time, guys, this is your sign. Pick up a Chris Carter. On to the last book now. And for December, I found my second 5-star thriller and my only other 5-star thriller, and that was Do No Harm by Jack Jordan. And like I've just said, 5 stars. So this was basically follows a woman who comes home. She is actually a heart surgeon. She gets home from work to find her son has been abducted, and there are people in her house setting up cameras. And all they say is, if you kill the MP that is on your operating table in 2 days' time, I won't kill your son. If you don't do it, your son is dead. I thought this could be a bit too long of a book. Now, originally, I'm not going to lie, we got to 50% and things were starting to look, like we were going to wrap up, and I'm thinking, where's this book going? I was wrong. This went from 0 to 100 the whole way through the book. I literally read this in one sitting. I am, say no more than that. I am absolutely just, I was still thinking about this the next day. I didn't rate it originally straight away because I didn't know what to rate it. But because I was still thinking about it the next day, it had to be a 5-star. The ending was, is all I'm going to say. I laughed. It was hilarious. I shouldn't be laughing at the thriller, but it just felt like it should have happened. Like, it was the right outcome. So, yeah, that was why I had to rate it 5 stars. And that is a wrap, guys. That is my favourite books from 2025. I probably will do a video on the worst. I just need to look into it because I didn't read too many bad books in 2025. But yeah, let me know in the comments, guys, what was your favourite book of 2025? What was your least favourite? Are any of these in some of your favourite books? Like, let me know. And yeah, thanks for joining me on another video, guys. And as always, if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, drop a comment. In fact, let's say, drop a book emoji in the comments if you've made it to this point in the video. Or just leave a comment with your favourite read. And yeah, have a lovely day, guys, and thank you for joining me. I think I said it, hit that subscribe button, and I will catch you all very, very soon.